Welcome and hello. This is a support video for HEC ResSim. And in this video, I'm going to be fixing the invalid flow calculation error. One of my viewers had a problem with their ResSim model and they sent it in to me. I took a look at it and I got it fixed for them. So I figured I can tell them as well as make a video and share this information with my viewers in case you encounter this problem as well. What I put up on the screen here is the first error message, and this is basically telling me that the file can't be found for a time series data set. So this is the first error I'm going to find and fix, but the other error is the one I have on the screen now, and this is the invalid flow calculation error. So this is perhaps a common error you've seen. I've seen this before, and this is the one we're going to also focus on fixing in this support video. If you want to send me your information, your model, or any problems you're having with ResSim, feel free to use the email at the bottom of the screen, and I will take a look at it if I have time. I can't promise that I'll have that time, but maybe I will. And I believe that we can help each other out as a community to get some of these problems solved. Sometimes it only takes one person to look over a model and find a problem that someone else just couldn't see for themselves for some reason. The HEC software support website does mention that they provide support for USACE Corps of Engineers, however, not for non-USACE users. But they do have a link down here that has it's basically a bulletin board where you can ask questions and view answers and maybe answer questions as well. I've checked it out, but just briefly, it looks like there's some potential there, but you can also send me your information. Down below, there's also some links for reporting errors. I will leave the URL link of this website in the description. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Up on the screen here, I have ResSim 3.3. I was told that this model was built using ResSim 3.5, but I don't think that has been any problems. I don't think that caused a problem. I'm going to first go to my reservoir setup and then file, open watershed. Now I'm going to navigate to the watershed, and this is the watershed files that I was sent. So I'm going to just select the WKSP file and then click open. So this opened up on the map, and I'm going to zoom in here on the structures. Well, this is the watershed setup. So what I want to do is actually go to the network reservoir module and then load in the module. So I'll go network, open. Here's the network. I'll click open on that. It says I need to save now the network to save some updates. So before I forget, let me just go network and save. That's good. What we have is an upstream junction, which flows down to a reservoir, and then that flows out to a downstream junction point. So we will check out the details of this network in just a little bit. First, I want to get that first error up on the screen. So let's get that going. I'll go simulation, and then I need to load the simulation. So I'll go simulation open. This is the name of the simulation right here. It's 2014.01.01. So I'll click open and then save now. I need to remember to do that. Okay. All right. Over here in the right panel, we have the simulation control panel with the name of the simulation, and then news 3 is the name of the alternative. And let's go ahead and run that. So right click and compute. Now, what it's telling me here in this is the first error message that I had on screen earlier. It's telling me that data is undefined or missing for the first day of the simulation. It's looking for this inflow time series location. It can't find it. And where it's looking is this DSS file, and this is the particular path. So what I want to do as a modeler, this is typical if you're moving the files around, especially like emailing it to someone, is I need to make sure that this particular file exists and it has this particular path name to it. The reason I think it doesn't exist is because it's bombing out on the very first day of the simulation. So let me see. Yeah, up here I have simulation starts on January 1, 2014 at 7 a.m. Or that's when the look back begins. The simulation begins an hour later, and then the simulation ends on 1 December 2015 at 10 p.m. So almost 2 years of simulation time. Okay, so to fix that first error, let's go ahead and right click and edit run on this alternative. And what I'm going to do is select alternative editor. This brings up the alternative editor box, and I have the time series tab selected now. And my DSS file is not the correct file. This right here is just a relative link to the .dss within a DSS directory. What I want to reference this DSS file to is in the error message, I want it to have this particular path right here. And then of course, this would be the name, the path name, and then the file path. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. What I have on screen here is DSS View. If you don't have DSS View downloaded and installed, I highly recommend it. It's what I'm going to be using in this lesson. It's very straightforward and easy to use and understand and install, and it's got great documentation by HEC, just like all their other programs that I've looked at least. You can find this on the HEC website. I'm already on the software page. This is the same page I had already. And then just go ahead and click on DSS View on the left panel. And this is the page here. I'm going to click on Downloads on the left panel, and then just go ahead and download and install whichever operating system that you're using. I will leave a link to the video instructions on how to download and install, as well as the entire playlist that I've created for videos to learn how to use DSS View, some of the basics, such as just file management, all the way up to scripting. So first off, let's go ahead and locate those files. This is the directory that I've navigated to for the project. And DSS is where we have, here's the file right here, network 3. So we'll go ahead and open that. These are the two time series data sets. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the data first. So I'll just highlight both by holding down Shift and selecting all, and then clicking this tabulate button up here in the top left. Now what I'm seeing is a number of records. So this is daily flow data, and it's starting at January 1, 2014 at 2200 hours. So it looks like it's all the same for the first month, and then it changes in February, and then again in March. And then once we get down to 2015, we see that data set take over. All right, if we want to see it graphically, we can click the graph button over here, and you can just see it looks like a bar graph. So the data looks fine. Let's go ahead and move these two time series data sets over to the RSS directory where we need them for our program to work. So to do that, I'm going to go Edit, Copy To. Now, of course, you have to have the two data sets highlighted first. Then go Edit, Copy To. Now let's navigate to that RSS directory. And then we need to select the name of the simulation, which is this top one here, 2014.01.01. And then here is the simulation.dss file. So if you forget where it needs to go, you can just re-reference that error message that we got. This is exactly where it's going to go. Now, before this part, this is from the C drive, the D drive, this is my local machine, but at least starting at the project directory, that's what you want to focus on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Open. This Open is actually going to initiate the copy routine. So I'll click Open. Boom, it's already copied, 2 records copied. Okay, let's go ahead to that RSS simulation.dss file and just confirm that these 2 records were copied over. Open, and then up a level, RSS directory. Here's the 2014 simulation, and then here is the simulation.dss file. So we'll click Open, and then here at the top are my 2 records. So I could just do a quick confirmation. That looks correct, and that's good. If we had trouble finding those records, we could use the filter on a distinct field value, such as this last field, 1 hour, I believe is distinct. And yeah, that's a quick way to find what we're looking for. All right, so let's go back to ResSim, reference these 2 records now in the RSS directory, and then rerun the simulation and then get the actual error I'm intending to fix, which is the invalid flow calculation. All right, so let's minimize that. What I'm going to do here is click this Select DSS Path button once we have our inflow time series dataset selected. And then we're going to navigate to the RSS directory. So this is the original location, not where we want. See DSS. Let's go up a level, RSS, 2014 simulation, and then here's the DSS file. I'll click Open, and then here are our 2 records. It only lets me select 1 record, so make sure to select the first record and then click this Set Path Name button. Okay, I'll go ahead and close that. This has been updated, and let me stretch it out horizontally so you can confirm that this is the path we want. Yep, that's the one. So I'm going to go Alternative and then Save. I'm going to close that dialog box, close that dialog box. I think we're ready to run again. So let's right-click and Compute to run that simulation. And hold on a second. What I have to do is actually close this error message first before it will actually run. So I'll click close and then right click and then compute. All right, and we have a new error message. So this is the error message regarding the invalid flow calculation. And it gives me this flow here of negative 3.4 times 10 to the 38. This is the smallest floating point 32-bit number, I believe, or something like that. So it just means it can't find the value. And something else that's important to point out is that the date and time it's looking for is 1 January 2014 at 700 hours. And this was really the tip off for me as to what the problem was. If you look at the date time of the simulation, it begins at that January 1, 2014 at 700 hours. But if you go back to DSS view and we open up the table data, it actually begins at 1 January 2014 at 10 p.m. or 2200 hours. So the solution here would just be to add one record at the beginning of this time series data set, which would be 31 December 2013 at 10 p.m. and with the same value. And let's go ahead and see if that works. So I'll close this tabulate button and then I'll click on G, this graphical editor, or I can also go edit, graphical edit. And then I get this dialog here. What I can do now is click on the add data button down here towards the bottom right of the dialog box. And then I get this dialog box that tells me I can extend. The top half allows me to extend back in the past. So this is before the first record. And then the lower part allows me to extend a number of rows past the last record of the data set. I want to put a 1 here in this record for number of rows. And if I then click tab to tab off, the start date automatically updates to 31 December of 2013. So that's what I want. I'll leave the time the same at 10 p.m. and then click OK. All right, what it did is it gave me one new row here. And what I'm going to do is just type in 42.4. That's the same value that has already been used. So just going to keep the flow the same, just extending it back 24 hours. All right, so when I click this, well, I think I have to tab off it. Yeah. So once I click this accept all button, it will update in the revised column. And I think we're good there. Let me go ahead and save that. So it's saved over the existing record. That's what this is telling me. Okay. And then let me click close. Now I don't see the new record. There should be a 2013 record. If you don't see it, like I don't now, go ahead and go edit. I'm sorry, view, refresh catalog. Okay, so it cleared the filter as well. Let me reset the filter to 1 hour. And boom, now we have 3 records. We have our 2014 and 2015 records as before, and now we also have 2013 as a record, which should only have one data point. Yep. So it just has one record as the last day of the year, and that's 42.4 CMS. All right, if we plot all 3 together, we can see all 3 together. Here's the first day, and then here's the second day, and hence second year, and so on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Now, what we need to do back in ResSim is I'll close this error message, reassign the time series for that CP1 inflow with that 2013 record, which includes the last, the missing 15 hours that we needed, and then we'll see if that works. So I'm going to go right click and edit run, and then alternative editor. I'm on the time series tab, select the inflow, and then click the select DSS path button down here in the bottom right. Now I'm going to navigate to the file. Okay, this looks like it's the correct file already. Now I'm looking for the 2013 1 hour flow. So here's 2013, that's good. When I click this set path name, that's going to assign it to that flow time series assigned to CP1. So there's that. Now I can click that. Lastly, I'll have to alternative save, and let me close that. Close that. All right, let's see if that worked. Right click and compute, and it's computing, and it looks good. It says compute complete. All signs point to success here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that dialog box. Let's go ahead and just click around on the plot real quick to see what we got. Here is the flow through CP1. So that looks good. We got 2 years of data. And then let's go ahead and check out the reservoir. So I'm just going to go right click and then plot. I'm going to go full screen here. So this looks pretty much as I expected. I don't know too much about the model. I was just fixing a problem. But on the top plot, we have the water surface elevation here, and it's holding constant. It is at 1,458 feet. And then in the bottom plot, we have the flow rate, and it looks like this flow rate is just the releases is just matching the inflow. This right here is the inflow to the reservoir, and then this line right here is the outflow to the reservoir. So yeah, no problem satisfying that minimum downstream flow. For instance, the lowest inflow is right here in the month of March 2014, and that is 1,204, which I believe is well above the minimum requirement. Edit, run. Let me just check the reservoir here. So if I go operations and then that flow, yeah, so we have a minimum release of 212 CFS, which is almost 6 times less than the minimum inflow. So no problem maintaining that water surface elevation. Well, that's it for this support video. Some of my final thoughts are, first of all, if you get an error message, make sure to read it and understand what it means. The first problem that we fixed was to reference the correct DSS dataset. And then the second error with regard to the invalid flow calculations was that we needed to extend that inflow data set to and totally encompass the duration of the simulation. It's all right if that data set is longer, starts before or extends past the simulation time, but it at least has to cover the entire duration of the simulation. A couple other thoughts and things I noticed about this ResSim model is that the units here is in CFS, but then the flow for the inflow is in cubic meters per second, CMS. I would personally try to keep all my units the same. So this is 211 CFS. But if we go ahead and look at our data here, this is in CMS. So I first for a moment thought there wasn't enough inflow, but then I realized that the units were different. So there's plenty of inflow. Back in looking at the reservoir, my last comment was that the significant figures looks a little overboard. I mean, we've got like 15 or so significant figures. That's for the flow rate. And we see it a few other places. Yeah, like right here on the elevations. I'm not sure it's even possible to, practically measure to this level of precision and for flow rate or for elevation. So that looks a little weird, but I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. It looks funny. And then my last comment here on the power plant is on the outlet tab, there's just one row of data, and it didn't seem to affect the simulation as far as I could tell. To me, it makes sense. You might want to have a second row of data here. All right, well, that was it for this support video, fixing the invalid flow calculation error in HEC ResSim.